Chisholm.
Cats game.
That's it.
Fires it across in time.
Ooh, cutting it close.
Go.
This
Jazz Chisholm
4,300 of you guys joined us for this live stream. I'm going to try and do this again, dude. If you want to
Before
join me.
everybody leaves, is Jazz Chisholm the third baseman for the New York Yankees next season? That is my question to everybody in the chat. Answer before you leave. Is Jazz Chisholm the third baseman for the Yankees next year? Because I'm trying to figure out, with all of my postseason preparation, what are the Yankees going to do with their infield? Because Glaber's a free agent. Is Jazz the third baseman? Is Jazz the second baseman? Artificial says yes. We got some yeses. Nickelodeon says no. I don't know, man. I don't know.
There's a lot of yes. I think he goes to second. But at the same time, the options of free agents at third is very small, but that doesn't mean they won't trade.
I know. I mean, Bregman. Could you imagine that? Hey, Mets fans were ready to go and snag Carlos Correa. Yankee fans were interested in Carlos Correa. Does the same extend to Alex Bregman?
Maybe. They grabbed Rizzo with the Cubs. Why not Bregman?
Yeah.
Why not?
It feels like he would go to second, but he's doing well at third.
There's a lot of people talking. Melanie's got a point with Oswaldo going to third, but I don't know if that's a good enough bat.
No, yeah, I'm not a believer in Oswaldo's bat. This Yankees team really is not. I mean, think about it.
Who's out? No.
Think about this Yankees team. They don't really have glove-only guys. You got to have a glove and a bat, right? Some teams will go defense first, and it doesn't matter if that guy can hit 250 and 10 home runs. Doesn't matter. They want the glove. Yankees aren't really that. You got to have a glove and a bat.
Yeah, especially at third, which is getting scarce because there's just so many teams that have a glove and a bat.
What do you think about? I'm starting to fall in love with the idea of Willy Adames and moving Willy Adames over to third base. So you have Jazz at second, Willie at third, and Volpe at short. I'm kind of coming around to that. Or leave Jazz at third and Volpe moves to second and Adames is at short. Or Adames goes to second and Volpe stays at short and Jazz stays at third.
I'd rather see Adames at second. I think Volpe's earned his shortstop.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a fair point. And there's also Ha-Seong Kim. Ha-Seong Kim's a free agent too.
I'm a little worried about him. I know he had a down year this year, but
I would love him hitting in front of Soto and Judge, though.
Because like Stephen Kwan.
The at-bats that he can put together, extending at-bats, get those guys more looks at the pitcher.
And utility.
I love it. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that's not bad. Say my name. Say my name. Judge Soto Yanks forever. Yeah. You're by the way, you made a comment, Judge Soto Yanks forever. That's the longest title for a name. LeMahieu is not, I don't think is an option for third.
Yeah, it feels like they're just going to cut ties with him. I have a question. This came up in my live stream last night.
Mm-hmm.
Mets and Yankees, let's say that's the World Series. Juan Soto's the ultimate prize, right? They're both.
We talked about this.
They're both going to be fighting. What happens if the Mets win the World Series over the Yankees? Does that completely rule out any chance of Soto going to the Mets? It feels like if the Yankees lose the World Series, that Juan Soto would almost feel like the mission was not accomplished. I need to come back, and he would sort of get a Kevin Durant reputation, which is a negative one, when Durant went from Oklahoma City to Golden State. So Soto would look like he's leaving the Yankees to go chase a ring with the Mets.
I don't think he cares about that, though.
I know he wants to get paid, but he's going to get paid from either one. Like the Yankees are going to match whatever offer is on the table from Steve Cohen. And now they have a relationship with Soto, and they obviously have a relationship with Boras. So there will be, I think, clear dialogue. I think that Juan Soto, if the Mets win the World Series, it kills their chances. Already, I think it's a long shot. I think he is going back. He will be a Yankee. win the World Series or don't win the World Series.
I'm against you on that.
We could talk about it, but
Okay.
I think that there is, if the Mets win the World Series, there's no shot they get Soto.
I'm gonna switch it over to this
Yeah.
just because.
Oh my
I don't know
God! Look,
about-
I'm very blue. I feel like, what's that character in
You're
Willy
very
Wonka?
Dodger blue.
That Willy Wonka, again, it's a Brewers hat. Brewers, Blue Jays, absolutely no allegiances. I love the MB with the baseball in the middle. It's great.
Yeah.
Looks like a glove. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a cool design.
One of the best. One of the best.
Yeah. Just not good enough to beat the Mets.
Tell me your Soto Yankees thing.
So first off, I don't think, and I know most people are leaving here, but hey, we still have 1,200. And you guys continue to talk in the chat because I want to hear your guys' info. Mel mentioned, it made me laugh. You're talking about if Soto, I believe, left or went to the Mets or something like that. But he said the city will burn. It's like,
could you imagine?
yeah. Imagine they bring back Gio Urshela. That dude is going to be on a lot of teams in the next few years, and it's going to be trade. He's going to be like a component on the side. But as far as Soto goes, I don't believe that he cares if he's known as a ring chaser. I think he's more of a dynasty chaser. I think he went to the Yankees with the mindset of, oh, this is my chance to be with Judge, to be with Verdugo, to be a player, part of a team that is the new refreshed version of the dynasty that the Yankees had in 98, 99, 2000. And that was his goal in order to not only make a name for himself, but be a team player and bring a team to a World Series. And now we're watching that unfold here, while at the same time as his contract comes to an end, he has two other teams that have the money, that have the means, that have the interest, and they have the talent to give him the exact same thing. And I personally think, from his comments, being that he said at one point, my actions today, the way I hit today looks good for free agency. On top of that, saying I've always wanted to play with Ohtani. I think that would be an amazing experience. Opening these doors.
Yeah.
If the Dodgers win the World Series, he's going to be looking at the TV like, I could have been there with them. I want to be there with them. They spent over $1 billion on their team. I want to be on that super rich team that is going to win a World Series. If the Mets win a World Series, he doesn't have to go far. But if they came to him and said, we're bringing back Pete Alonso, we are signing Willie Adames, maybe they don't like Jeff McNeil sticking around for any long. I don't know. If they say we're going to increase because we have the market and we have the richest owner in baseball, and we're going to pay you just what everybody else is going to pay you, we want to go back. I don't see why not. If the Yankees win, I think he might stay. I think he just wants to be part of a dynasty. He wants to be part of history and really make his name alongside other people, other players that are impressive. The ring chasing doesn't matter as long as he's doing it with a team that has a bunch of other big names on there. That kind of balances it out. But do it multiple years because he's already big enough. He's already famous. His rookie season was insane. He was incredible with the Padres. If you talk about big trade deals, offering a ton of people for Juan Soto, it's, oh, do you think he's going to get a Soto deal? Oh, what about, you think he's going to, what are we going to get for this guy? It's not going to be anything like a Soto deal. He's already made a name for himself to where he's so valuable. Everybody's like, oh, it won't be anything close to a Soto deal. We did that with Crochet. And ironically, as soon as the trade deadline passed, nobody was really interested because he started messing up. Right. So I don't think the ring chaser thing matters because I think he's so popular that he's looking for that next level of achievement and milestone.
Fair point.
I was long-winded, but
no, fair point. What's going to end up happening, I think, is that he's going to go to the team that pays him the most money. At the end of the day, I think the team that pays him the most money will win. the Juan Soto sweepstakes. And I believe it will come down to the Yankees and the Mets that just get into an obnoxious bidding war. I think the Dodgers will say, Soto's great, but we got Otani, we got Roki Saki coming soon, we got all these things in play. We are not going to, we're out.
Depends
so-
what they do with Teo.
Yeah, I think Teoscar Hernandez is probably going to want a ridiculous payday. I think Teoscar Hernandez, I think there's a good chance he walks. So I could see Teoscar Hernandez moving on, and still I could see the Dodgers maybe stepping out on the Juan Soto sweep. I think it gets to a point where the Yankees and the Mets are just lobbing numbers back and forth, and it starts with a $600 million from the Yankees, 650 from the Mets, 675 from the Yankees, 700 from the Mets, 715 from the Yankees. I think they just lob figures back and forth. And the reason I think it gets to this crazy number is that the Yankees have now, Steinbrenner and Cashman have experienced what Juan Soto being on this team is like, to where they won't put a cap. They won't put a ceiling on that Juan Soto figure. Steve Cohen's going to go into this without a ceiling. And now the Yankees, because they have experienced Juan Soto, will go into it without a ceiling. If they had never had Juan Soto, if Juan Soto had stayed with the Padres or was traded to the Blue Jays or whatever else, right? Then the Yankees may put a ceiling. They may say, all right, 550 is the highest we're going to go. However, they now know what this lineup looks like with him and Aaron Judge. They see this team is different from last year. This team could win the World Series. You can't let Soto go. You almost can't let him go, and I don't think they're going to want to let him go. So you have those two elements going. You can't let him go, and they won't want to. So for those two reasons, I think whatever Steve Cohen throws out there, the Yankees will just throw $5 million on top of it. 710 from Cohen. All right, 715 from us, and you get to keep playing with Judge. I gotta think he loves I gotta think he loves being on this team, and he can keep that going if he wants to. And that dynasty thing you're talking about. Look, I'm a Blue Jays fan. Soto on the Yankees for the next 10 years is terrible for me, but I understand. I get it. I have the full scope of the situation.
You can convert to the Brewers. You're fine.
Exactly. I get it. This Yankee dynasty, the pinstripes, it would be historic if him and Aaron Judge go on a run, and over the next 10 years, the two of them bring 5 world championships to the New York Yankees. I think that it is the day he was traded to the Yankees, that locked it in. He's going to end up being a Yankee. I can't see it going any other way.
Something about budget though.
But that's public posturing. That feels like it's a leverage thing, but because he's almost probably two things can be happening there. He's trying to get to Scott Boras without directly talking to Scott Boras. He's trying to maybe when it comes to the Yankee fan base, get a message out there so that either if they do lose out on Soto, there's almost a buffer there. But also if you get Soto, look at what he did. He said we only had this budget and he went here. Oh my God, Brian Cashman, I love you. You went over the budget. It's fantastic. This is the best general manager in baseball now. So I think there's some strategic elements going on behind there. I think there is some strategery happening with that one for anybody who gets the SNL reference there.
So what's Kevin talking? I just see this. Was he talking about the Crypto Night? Or the Krypton? Oh, they just misspelled it. Okay, my bad.
Oh yeah.
That easy road because of the Astros were out? I don't believe that.
Hold on. So they played Kansas City, and we all thought Houston, but Houston played.
Well, New York didn't.
Why am I blanking?
Oh yeah, they didn't. What am I thinking?
So I get it. 100% agree that if Houston was here, maybe the series is different. But that's not how we can can't really go that way. This is what they got. So, I mean, I get it. Yes, a Houston and New York series maybe would have been more competitive. I know for me, it would have been better. But
I personally enjoyed watching the Tigers beat them.
of course you did. Of course you did.
There's no bias. I just enjoyed the way they played.
I really would have liked to have seen Astros and Yankees because I know from a interest level, from a YouTube standpoint, let me put it that way. From a YouTube standpoint, for me personally, if I'm being selfish for a second, that would have been better because the Yankee fan base, let's just call it what it is. We can peel behind the curtain here for a second. The Yankee fan base goes to NYY Underground or they go to John Boy. That's where they go on YouTube. They stick with the
Or
home
Talking Yanks.
teams. Talking Yanks. Yeah. John Boy, Talking Yanks, NYY Underground. That's where they go. They don't really go out. They don't spread out beyond that. The Houston fan base, they've got H-Town Wheelhouse, the Locked On Astros podcast, but that's really it. So Astros fans do kind of get around on YouTube.
Mhm.
I have found Cleveland, the fan base needs to step up. The fan base is not on YouTube. Just like Arizona's fan base was not on YouTube last year, Cleveland's fan base is not on YouTube. And look, YouTube's not the be-all, end-all.
Yeah, that's weird. I figured Cleveland would. I mean, there's been plenty of Cleveland fans in this chat watching this game with us.
Yeah.
But I don't get it.
It's just not as so they'll watch the game, but I think it's because there is not the year in and year out expectation to win the World Series like there is with the Yankees and the Astros and the Dodgers and the Braves. These teams that enter the season with World Series or a bust, right? Seattle would have been the fan base gets going. These teams that have the World Series or bust from day one, you open up camp in spring training and it is a World Series season. Those fans are just built different. And Cleveland fans, I think, understand that this could be our year. This might not be our year. So because of that, they don't have that same level of rabid
Philly
nature.
vibe.
Right. I mean, look, I'm not saying the Cleveland fan is not a good fan, is not a ride or die fan, but they're not going to go out of their way to seek out more content and just feed that addiction. They've got other things in their life that they can focus on. They've got the Browns right now. The NBA season is about to tip off. They've got other things to do.
Yeah. And there's a long stretch of that where they had LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the focus sport. Now,
I
don't know. I haven't been watching that. Dude, I've been talking about having a beer all stream. There's a free promotion. Look at this. Corona's getting it. It's just awesome.
Look at that. Sponsored by.
Yeah, I know. I would love to get a sponsorship. You know what? This is an idea. I wonder if we would be able to get Jake Storielli or something like that on a podcast and we all kind of were to talk some ball.
I don't know, man. It's tough to get
those guys.
This time of year, I feel like it's tough to get anybody because they're so locked in. Like you could get Astros people.
I got a couple Mariners guys coming on soon.
Right. You could get some teams that are out of it, but teams that are in it right now. I tuned in last night, and after the Yankees game, Jake and Jimmy got together for a Talking Yanks podcast almost immediately after they watched the game. And then at like 2 a.m., Jake posted the Talking Baseball channel posted a podcast with Trevor and Jake. So the constant running right now is so much that I don't think.
Well, they got a full team
you
too.
Get through anybody.
Like they got a full media production. I bet you they have like 20 or 30 people in minimum employed. They're partnered with Dan Patrick. So
more than that,
I think deal.
I think they probably are well over 100. I would say they're well over 100 at this point.
Arizona and Rangers World Series last year. What about them?
Arizona and Rangers. Look, from a rating standpoint, that was down. From a YouTube standpoint, that was down. It was kind of cool, but it did not have the same interest level. a Yankees and Mets, Yankees and Dodgers, Mets and Dodgers, even Dodgers and Guardians or Mets and Guardians will have a higher interest level because even if you don't root for the Mets or the Yankees, you probably root against the Mets or the Yankees and you're going to tune in. There's nobody that roots against the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, so you get kind of remove any of the haters because there are no haters for those teams.
Versus like the Astros, where it's either you're an Astros fan or you hate them.
Right. That's why the Astros will draw because you'll have the fan base that is all about it, but you'll also have the Astros haters that come around and they're like, haha, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The Astros are terrible. So they come out.
Well, there's also, and I make this argument for the Mariners as well, is just there is no team around Seattle. The closest one is San Francisco now, and that is at minimum almost 2 states away. The fan base surrounding the Pacific Northwest is so large. I mean, the revenue levels last year, they were the number 10 as far as revenue income. Of course, they don't have any money to buy players, but like they make it to the playoffs. Watch the bandwagon come in. Montana that likes baseball, Wyoming that likes baseball, Idaho, Oregon, they're going to flock. And I think that, but we just haven't cracked that seal yet. 2022 did. And what'd they do with that money? They bought the Pyramid Brewing Company right across the street and turned it into the Hatback Cafe, which my cousin actually runs, which is ironic. And now they're profiting more than ever. In fact, outside of ballpark ticket sales, the Mariners make some of the most money in 2024. But yeah, we don't have money for players. And
what's going on with Root Sports? What's the latest there though? Because they were taking over Root Sports, and that was a big expenditure, isn't it?
No, Root Sports is still there. So it was a 3-year contract that was coming to its expiration. So negotiations started last year, and then they were like, "Oh, they're gonna back out, so we're not gonna have any money." We still have 2 more years. Like everybody's dealing with ours. It was a cop out to not spend money. We don't have good ownership. We really don't.
Yeah,
and as far as I know, Root Sports, guess what? He's still going to be here next year.
Yeah.
And they're not leaning on it as much this year because everybody knows it's bullshit. So, I mean, and honestly,
they've got to spend money. They've got to spend money this offseason.
Let MLB take over. It worked great for San Diego. Why not?
Yeah. I think they at the end of the day, this team has to spend money, and they can't hide behind any Jerry DiPoto sound bites that'll go viral again this year. The team's got to spend money. They've got to go. They don't need. And now here's the beautiful part. You don't need to spend money on pitching, and that is what gets out of control. That is what ends up that is where you have to overpay right now, and they don't have to do that. So take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Now tell me this. I believe that the focus needs to be on the infield because the outfield is set. You're stuck with Haniger. Outside of Haniger, you've got Robles, you've got J-Rod, and you've got a Rosarena. That's your outfield on opening day, or am I wrong there?
Haniger's not sticking around.
Right, but what about Robles, J-Rod, and a Rosarena?
Yeah, those guys are sticking around, and so is Rayleigh.
Right, well, Rayleigh can play first. Can he?
Exactly. But he can also rotate with them in the outfield. Randy Rosarena can DH every once in a while. And then Robles, honestly, if he can keep up his bat, even if his bat decreases, let's say he hits like 235 next season, which is still better than what the whole team did this season.
Yeah.
His speed, it helps. His aggressive base running is risky, but it's something the team has lacked for so long.
Yeah.
Like, speed on the base path has been dead. The only person we had was Julio, and his base running ability is dog shit. So he was picked off more than anybody else. What's that?
They got to figure that out. It shouldn't be. He should be a guy that can go out there and steal 30 bases. Really should.
I don't know what. Well, he didn't get on base all year, so he couldn't steal anything because he wasn't out there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh.
So, Haniger. So the Haniger situation is it's a player option, but at the same time he has a buyout, and
He's taking that option. What's the buyout? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think it's 5 mil.
He's gonna take the player option though. It's like
But
you're stuck with him. That's the poor.
I don't think so.
Here is that you're stuck with him.
Because he is not going to get a starting position.
He doesn't care. He's going to get
He might
paid.
even play. Yeah, but he's not done. He does. He's not giving up on his career. If he takes that option, stays there, goes to the minor leagues, he's not going back to the bigs. And I think the Mariners have a great relationship with him. So I don't think it's going to be a. I think who said it? Colby with Locked On Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
He made a good point, and I do think he's very accurate on this. Just because Haniger has been a franchise face or such a good relationship, I think he is going to willingly take the lead, take the buyout, get on the free agent market because there's a lot of players. There's a lot of teams that need a good outfield, and he's a good defensive glove. He's not amazing, but he's good, and he's a good bat in a lot of other stadiums. He's not good anymore at T-Mobile Park. And instead of sitting on the bench going down to AAA, he takes the buyout, gets paid, goes in the free agent market, signs a deal with another team. It could be the White Sox. But guess what? They're going to pay him more than his buyout, and he gets paid double. And on top of that, they get to cut payroll. But here's the thing. When they made this point, they're not just going to cut him immediately. It's going to be like, hey, man, you want to take the buyout, but because they don't have to make a decision until opening day. Come to spring training, get your work in, get some numbers, show that you can do some stuff. We just don't have a spot for you. And they're going to help him on his way because it benefits both of them. It benefits him and his contract with money, and it benefits the team because they'll save 11 mil. And that's huge.
Right.
And they'll do that with a plan ahead of time, but boost his ability as far as, and I mean, he could even get traded in that aspect, but I think they would do it more to help him out. And that means taking him to spring training, letting him see that he is a good hitter, and all these other teams, if he does pull through and he's like, I don't know, 16 home runs in the Cactus League and he's batting 320, tell me the Marlins wouldn't be like,
but then
okay.
wouldn't you want to keep him if he's doing that?
No. Because you just extended Robles. You have 2 more years of Randy Arozarena. You have Rayleigh.
That Victor contract's pretty team friendly though, right?
Very.
Yeah.
Very. But he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. He loves it in Seattle. He's a completely different player than he was in Washington.
Yes, he is.
Like, when they picked him up, I was like, another stupid pickup.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, base hit, double, base hit, home run, double, base hit, stolen base. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, all right, keep him around.
Yeah.
And yes, Willie, Rosarena was not good this year until July when he started heating up with Tampa. He showed up in Seattle, and I think that is a transition issue. His family's still in Tampa.
He was not good in Tampa. He had a couple of weeks that boosted his trade value, and that's all it was. You're going off the full body of work.
But he was also having issues with Yandy.
I think he's going to be fine. I think he will have he's one of those players that I'm looking for. Him and Sean Murphy, and Bo Bichette, they're all players that completely imploded this year and probably bounce back and have monster seasons next year. The talent is there. It will inevitably resurface.
I hope so. And that's the thing. I think when things calm down, because I think his family still hasn't moved up here. He's staying in he lived the entire rest of the season. He lived in a hotel in Seattle. It's not comfortable.
No.
And then, like, the whole drama with him going back into the clubhouse 2 weeks after he was traded and everybody blowing up and freaking out. I made a video on that. I thought it was ridiculous, but Dallas Braden had a take on it, and he was going off. It was funny in a way, but at the same time, I disagree with him. It's like, I made the same relation to, like, let's say 6 years down the road, Julio gets traded because we just can't afford his $27 million contract, and he's declining in the same level that he is now gradually, and he gets sent off to Arizona. Good trade partner, right? And a week later, he comes back to Seattle and he's seen in the clubhouse. Just like Randy, that was his team. He was the captain. He was the star. It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Seattle fans aren't gonna be like, "Get out of here! You're not one of us anymore." It's like, no, like we get it. You miss your home. You miss the people that you were playing around, that you led, that you've been together with for years. And I think Randy had that and that action that he took showed that he wasn't ready to leave Tampa and go to a new team. And so even though he was playing well in that month and he got that trade value, if we look at statistics, yeah, but the emotional side of a human being and the fact that he never had his family there, that takes a toll. And I think he still did. I mean, the first 2 weeks it was bad, but after that he did fine. He was productive.
Yeah.
So I don't see Haniger being reasonable using that as a hostage point to stay there.
Right.
Because how many outfielders do we have? 6? Like Canzone kind of counts. I know he's in AAA, but he's batting the same as Canzone. Canzone's in AAA, so that doesn't really give him a bargaining chip to play in the majors.
I wonder if a players union element comes into this, where he gets heat from the players union and says, no, you can't opt out. You have got to, you need to lock that in, because if you opt out, then all of a sudden we're going to have all these owners and all these teams talking about how, well, Mitch Haniger opted out. I'm not saying that that is a be all end all, but I feel like there is if you're looking at a pie chart of reasons why he might opt and stay, it's because there's some pressure. Just like the players union killed the A-Rod deal years ago. They're like, no, you can't do that. You can't give money back. And now he wouldn't be giving money back in this instance. He would be just declining and taking the buyout. But I wonder if there's also a players union element here where the union is like, no, you take that money and you wait for them to cut you. You get paid and then you walk. And again, it's not you walking; it's them saying, "Sorry, there's no room for you. We're going to,
I don't think he has a trade clause though, a no trade clause. So that could really go that way if you wanted to leverage it. And I don't think the players' union can leverage him in his decisions. I think they can just throw out options and say, "Hey, are you sure you want to do this because you're going to make more money?" If you stay,
it's the brethren thing. It's the fraternity element. It's the part of the club. Hey, we're all on the same team here. We're part of the club. And also now we are going to start getting into the point where we are just what are we 2 years away from the next labor negotiation. So the groundwork is going to be laid, and you want to appear to be a strong, united group. And I don't know. I just I wonder if that plays a role. It may not.
I think you could pick up in free agency. Look at right fielders that they have that are available, and then look at price point. So Willie, thank you, dude. 11.5 mil next year
for a Rosarena.
Is that a Rosarena or is that for no? Haniger is probably more. He's at 16.
I think Haniger's more. But I don't think anybody's paying him that.
No, I don't think a Rosarena's at 11. I think he's like 8. He's still in arbitration.
Yes, it'll be whatever it is. It would be a projected arbitration number if that's what that was, and that may be the case. Let's see. I'm sure that
really clarify. I haven't looked it up. I don't want to mess the stream.
I'll look it up.
But he's at 16 mil this year, so I don't know what he's going to be next year. But I mean,
Randy last year made $8 million in arbitration, and this year that will probably elevate to, even with the down year, it still tracks up.
Probably 10.
So 10, 11, ceiling is 12. Absolutely.
Won't go any higher than that. Though.
Yeah, that would be high. That would 100%. That would be high. But somewhere maybe in that 10 or 11 number. So that's a significant chunk. And what's Haniger? Haniger is
16.
15.5.
15.5 next
according
year?
to according to Fangraphs. Yeah.
Oh, I normally do Sport Track.
I go back and forth. I mean,
Yeah.
the numbers should be about even. I guess
Yeah.
let's compare.
But you know who I would say would pick him up? St. Louis.
If they
I can
weren't
see-
paying, if they weren't paying for him.
I can see a trade go in to where they are saying,
God.
hey,
Oh, so it's his luxury tax. Luxury tax is 14.5. His actual payroll is 17.5 according to Spot Rack.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. How much is Santander gonna? How much did he make this year? AAV.
I feel like he was somewhere around like 12 to 15. Let's see if it's still on here.
Your audio cuts in and out. I'm not sure if that's on your end or mine.
I don't know. This has been a thing.
Is it
Yeah.
This is more tech stuff behind the scenes, but is your echo cancellation on?
It should be.
That's
me
probably
check.
why.
Hold on. Audio echo cancellation. Okay. I've just turned that off. That should fix it, you think?
Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, I've tried
There's
to
so
do
many
this.
new things to this.
I've tried to do this with Robbie Hyde a few times where he hosts the podcast on his channel and we use StreamYard. And I actually have to switch devices to make it work. It's really kind of frustrating.
We need to get you a sure.
Santander made 11.7.
And after this year, we're talking probably 17. He did so good.
Well, he's a free agent.
I know, but
So-
we're talking like he's going to get a 17 AAV most likely. I would say.
Well, he's one of the top outfielders available in this market. So if there's a bidding war, that could even get up to 20. Because after Soto, the top outfielders are Teoscar, Santander, and Jurickson Profar. Those are the three top. Those are the three best after Juan Soto. So Santander can use that as a driving force. Now Profar,
He's going to get re-upped.
Well, that's the thing. So he only made $1 million in San Diego this year.
Yeah.
So
Him and Solano.
it's crazy. But I wonder what San Diego's financial situation is, if they are in position to give Profar the contract that he wants. Now, he loved playing for Mike Schilt, so I would bet Profar wants to be back there. But I just wonder where San Diego's financials are to be able to give Profar the raise that he is due. Especially when, again, there's after Soto, it's Teoscar, Santander, and Profar as the three best outfielders. He may get better offers elsewhere because there are a ton of teams that need outfielders, impact bats, and there's three. I mean, if you miss out on Teoscar and Santander and Profar, look, I guess let's include Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill would be the next tier. You're looking at Verdugo, Conforto, Max Kepler. It completely drops off. The outfield pool completely drops off. And if you don't think that Chris Getz in Chicago knows that, he's going to wait to trade Luis Robert until after Teoscar, Santander, Profar, and O'Neill have signed. There will still be 10 other teams that need an impact outfielder. That's why Profar might get more because the market demands for it.
Well, that's where I think the metrics come in, and that's my point. There's three, and that's where Haniger becomes a pretty interesting piece.
Sure.
If he were to take that route, especially for his position, because he knows he's not going to make the same amount of money, but he can take the buyout, and then he can get signed, play for a team in the outfield, build his way back in a much more hitter-friendly stadium. He did fine in San Francisco the first year. Not good, but he did fine. Second year, not good. And what's the similarities between T-Mobile and Oracle? Pitcher park. That's why Blake Snell went there instead of Seattle, because Seattle didn't have the money to offer to him, and nobody offered it to him, honestly. Everybody waited out.
Right.
He gets to Cincinnati. He gets to St. Louis. he gets to hell. What about the Red Sox? Like, it'd probably be a cheaper. I don't know. What did Tyler O'Neill make last year?
He what? I feel like he was a bargain.
No audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like he was a bargain. So
Was he like 9?
$6 million
Wow.
in arbitration.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think they bring him back though.
O'Neill in Boston?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think he walks. I think he goes elsewhere.
But I can see them picking up Haniger for cheap. Green Monster, right-handed bat. He pulls.
Yeah, no, Boston will need to replace him.
I could see it.
Yeah. There will be, by my estimate, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, roughly 12 that need an outfielder. There's always the opportunity to upgrade, but the actual need at a specific outfield position.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mariners have a surplus. They should not get rid of Rayleigh. He had a career year.
He's a good one to keep.
Which might have solved their first base, but honestly, I'm afraid that's going to be their excuse. But
we'll see.
Blue Jays, I don't even know about them. I don't get it.
Yeah, I put out a video today talking about potential, new trade targets because
I watched it.
Part of it, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Part of it is that the Toronto Blue Jays, if they want to spend and improve this club, they need to trade somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're going to keep what we've heard from Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro is that the payroll is not going drastically in either direction. Well, if you dole out arbitration dollars, the payroll is going drastically up.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to go and grab a power bat, they've got to trade somebody.
Whether it's Varsho, right?
I had Varsho and I had Gosman because Gosman's a big chunk and Gosman's contract looks amazing right now. And the Toronto Blue Jays have, as it is, let's say Alek Manoah works his way back next year, they have 6 starters without Gosman. And if you can take that $23 million and pivot it towards Christian Walker, all of a sudden this team looks better without Kevin Gosman, which is crazy to say.
Going to third?
I think you would have maybe Vladdy DHs. Springer's in right field. Springer actually did okay in right field. So you can keep Springer at a corner outfield position. Maybe Vladdy starts playing third. He's open to it. I don't think he's that bad. So if you're Toronto and or maybe there's a Teoscar Hernandez reunion, and you're taking that money from Kevin Gosman. The bottom line is the Toronto Blue Jays cannot add a significant piece without trading somebody out because of how much arbitration dollars have to be spent. They don't have it.
I don't know who your pick was. I can't remember for Gosman. The Giants scream buyer for a trade deal for Gosman.
I have the Giants. Oh yeah, the Giants are 100% with Snell leaving.
Snell's going to leave, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they need a good pitcher. I know Gosman's been kind of shoddy, but that's a perfect stadium for him to pitch in.
Yes.
They basically keep the same amount of money going out, so it's not like they have to make any budget changes with Gosman.
With Snell. Yep, with Snell coming off the books.
That would be perfect.
The
problem
Mets,
is who?
Right, who goes back to Toronto? Well, the Giants have some top tier pitching prospects that they could include in that deal, and that could replenish. Right. So San Francisco's great. The Braves are a good trade partner. The Mets are a good trade partner. It runs deep. And that's where the whole Gosman thing, I should have done a video exclusively, specifically for Gosman.
That was a big chunk.
Right. I kind of needed to grab, I wanted to try to grab multiple fan bases. So I added a couple other players and I tried to make it a thumbnail and a description that would entice. because just the Blue Jays should trade Kevin Gausman might not do enough because it's so focused on the Blue Jays. But the Gausman thing, it runs deep. There are so many teams because we're also in this financial situation where there are teams that are concerned about their payroll. They're concerned about luxury tax. They're concerned about locking in Max Fried or any of these other free agent starting pitchers to 5, 6, 7-year deals, knowing that there's going to be a year that is a bust because there's going to be an injury. You're going to have trouble. So these short-term contracts, Kevin Gausman's got 2 years left at $23 million. It's going to cost $10 million more if you try to sign any other pitcher to a 2-year contract like that. So you get a deal, and because of that, so many teams. I picked 4. We could have gone 10 deep there.
Yeah,
that would be
pitching's
interested
needed.
in Kevin Gausman. Extremely. Yeah, what they do is going to be really fascinating.
Is Bader done at the end of the season for the Mets?
He's a free agent. Yep, he's on the way out. He was
Damn,
a nice.
I was gonna say trade there with the Mets, but if he's gone, it doesn't matter.
No, he's a goner, and
That dude's been around. He went Yankees, Reds, Mets.
yeah, he's a nice defensive piece. But with all of the outfield prospects that the Mets have, and that infield is now set. I mean, I talked about trading Brett Beatty, but do the Mets think Nimmo could shift back to center and Beatty could play left? But Roddy Mauricio's coming back. There's no room for Bader. There's so many pieces.
Were you saying Beatty or Bader?
Bader.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Beatty. No, Beatty.
Beatty?
Do they give up on Brett Beatty and trade him, or do they think he could play left field and Nimmo could slide back to center?
I would hold on to him because his trade value is so low.
It's low, but it is also he could be, and all of my thought process around Beatty is that he could be a chip that is included in a trade package to bring back pitching. Because the Mets are going to have to be really aggressive for pitching in the offseason. And if you're talking with the White Sox, well, I mean, think about the White Sox did that trade, and they brought back Miguel Vargas. They brought back some other previously blue chip prospects. So the White Sox, obviously, maybe they're interested in that. So if the Mets want to try to trade for Garrett Crochet or Luis Robert, Brett Beatty could be included in that as a one-time top prospect. And I think teams are going to be enticed by the idea of fixing Brett Beatty's, swing and bat at the major league level. So I can see it happening. I can see some teams being enticed.
I can't see the White Sox developing anybody because of the reports I've heard.
That's a good point.
I've just seen the reports and some of the stuff that Tommy Pham put out after he left.
Yeah.
And how, they're just yeah, go hit some balls. You're under it. You're like, no shit, these guys got 121 losses this year. It's like it's like a bad little league coaching staff.
Uh-huh.
And to get to Willie, because I know he mentioned this 2 minutes ago. Wow, it's only been 2 minutes. Jeez. Yeah, Mariners do have a good farm system, but they don't need another pitcher. If anything, they're looking at probably getting rid of Castillo to bring a bat on because he is the oldest and he is the most expensive. He has club control, which other teams would love. He's not declining too much. He's just injury prone. So yeah,
Castillo could be Castillo.
Good, don't mess
Castillo,
with it.
I don't know who would go back because I think you're looking for major league ready talent. But if the Mets could come around, I think Castillo's another good Mets target. It's only 3 years. Luis Castillo at $24 million for 3 years sounds like a good deal to me. When you're going to have to go $30 million a year for anyone else that's a free agent. No, you're right. Who comes back? That's the problem. Is the New York Mets would be in a situation where I don't think they're able to send MLB ready talent. I'm looking at the roster right now.
No, unless you gave us Mark Vientos.
Right, and that's not happening. But wouldn't
It's
that?
not going to happen. But
Man,
that's
wouldn't
a fair
that be?
deal.
That would be the thing. That would be the play.
That would be fair.
Again, they're not going to trade Vientos, but if you had the riches and could afford to do it, like Seattle can afford to trade Luis Castillo,
Yeah.
if the Mets had the riches at corner infield, that would be the way to go.
Unless the Mets get Bregman.
Oh, could you imagine if they signed Bregman and they trade
They
Vientos?
sign
That
Bregman, they
fan
trade
base.
Vientos for Luis Castillo. That's a dangerous Mets team.
Oh boy, that would be.
And
That
I
would
would be happy. I love Luis Castillo. Of course, he has a no trade clause, so you have to agree to it.
Yeah.
But, like, I think he would because look how far they've made it.
Right.
He's like, maybe I can get a ring because I've never played for a team that came close. I mean, 22 Mariners, I guess, but that was Division Series and that was it. So
You know who? The team that might be your trade partner. I think we're back to San Francisco, aren't we?
for Castillo,
Mm-hmm. At least, so you could do San Francisco.
we don't want any of their players.
That's right. So thinking about, okay, let's think about like third baseman specifically. Who could send you a third baseman back? Teams that are going to be looking for top tier
Twins.
pitching. Royce Lewis. Royce Lewis.
They might take it because he's such an injury prone guy.
Well, there's a money thing going on in Minnesota. So Minnesota's not going to cut payroll. That's a report that's out. But they have an arbitration issue similar, probably actually more extreme than the Blue Jays have for arbitration. The Twins have like 6 key guys entering arbitration 1. They're all going to take $3 to $5 million. It's Joe Ryan, it's Bailey Ober, it's Royce Lewis, it's Griffin Jacks, it's there's a couple other guys.
The Pablo Lopez increase
Oh boy, that's a big
is
one.
like 20 mil.
Yes, from 8 to 21. So
Yeah.
if you're Minnesota, I don't think you want to take the Luis Castillo contract on. That's the problem there. I know that they're not going to be looking to cut payroll, but I don't think they're going to increase payroll. And as it is, after you dole out arbitration figures, you're going to have to move somebody else off that roster. And that's why I think Buxton's the guy, because you can't trade Correa. You're not going to trade the guys. Well, Royce Lewis does get hurt a lot, though. That's that would be one element to Lewis is moving guys that tend to get hurt and aren't out there to earn their paycheck.
I have a counter.
Yeah.
With the Mariners. I could see them, and they're taking on more, but Ben Williamson, third base, one of the top prospects in their farm system, to Willie's point, they can afford to give him up along with Castillo and take on that Pablo Lopez contract because it's relatively the same, so the budget doesn't change. And then also send over Royce Lewis while they get a impact bat that is performing well in AAA. And then they don't have to deal with arbitration, all that increase and all that stuff. And they get someone who is not known for being injured. He's very healthy and he's fast.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it could be reasonable, but that I think would only boil down to a PR thing. Oh, you got rid of Royce Lewis? Like, it's like, if you're selling the team, who cares?
I wonder.
Like, it's 1-for-1, no pay cut. You have club control, and you're not seeing a 20 or what is it? Probably like 13 or $12 million increase in payroll from just that single guy. And you get someone who is a multi-year all-star. And then you get a fresh guy at third because you've gotten almost a year's worth of MLB service from Royce Lewis because of his injuries. I made a whole video on that. I think I called him the best third or best MLB player to never play a full major league season.
He did the injury. It's terrible what's going on in Minnesota. I almost feel like if Buxton and Lewis get out of Minnesota, it'll be like Robles getting out of Washington, D.C. All of a sudden, wait a minute, this is completely different. This is the script is completely flipped here. Mm-hmm. So you almost need to get Buxton out of Minnesota and Lewis out of Minnesota. Yeah, if Minnesota was able to figure out the money, there's a decent trade thing there. There's a decent trade possibility there. Outside of that, the problem is that you could figure out a trade, but when it comes to third baseman available on the trade market for teams that need top tier ace level pitching, I just don't see the third basemen that are available. I think it's St. Louis needing an ace to go along with Sonny Gray, but you're not trading for Nolan Arenado. That's not a thing. San Francisco just not trading for Matt Chapman. That's not a thing. Cleveland, J-Ram, that's not a thing. You've got
That's the problem.
let's
Every
see.
starting third baseman is a star.
Yeah, I mean there's really it's hard. So you get to a point where you're calling up Cincinnati and maybe trying to send him back and get Christian Encarnacion Strand or somebody like that in return. But that's
Another
not
injury-prone guy.
it's not a fair trade. So that's the hard part about trading Castillo specifically. Again, if we're thinking about the third base route, you'd have to pivot off of that and get into an outfield conversation.
Give me McLean and move over and move Crawford to third.
I think Cincinnati loves McLean. I think.
Sorry, you cut out. What was that?
I think Cincinnati loves Matt McLean.
Yeah.
I think they probably pinpoint that as one area as to why they struggled this year. Is they did not have him. I could see.
They probably don't want Castillo back anyways.
Where's my? Oh, this hasn't updated. I have a sheet.
Man, this is bad. I think it's whenever I talk, you get muted, so I'm not sure.
Well, I also something about the way I'm projecting. When I'm projecting stronger, it works. When I kind of tone my voice down and I start talking like this, I don't think it's going.
It's a sensitivity thing.
Maybe
It might be on the Yeti. Your gain.
Well, again, when I switch, so I'm on a desktop right now. When I do this with Robbie Hyde, I switch to my laptop off to the side here. I plug my mic, I plug the camera into the laptop, and there's no problem.
No issue.
Something is wrong with the connection with the desktop. I don't know what it is.
We need to get you a new desktop.
maybe that's what it is. In the new year. I bought this one this year, and I am rather disappointed with it. So there's a chance in 2025 there is a new desktop purchase. But I'm trying to get the miles through it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We got to get Robbie in here too. We have a little bit more opinion.
One of these days, yeah, just kick stuff around.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, it's crazy. It's probably super late for you, anyways.
It is midnight. I just refreshed my my iPad over here, and I'm like, holy crap!
We went from 3,600 people to 143 that stuck around. So all you guys, thank you for sticking around and listen to us jabber about this. We don't get a chance to talk.
We put you to bed. We put you all to bed. So
yeah,
go
they're all
close
asleep.
your eyes now.
They left it on. They're all asleep. That's why nobody's commenting.
Not a bad idea. All right, man. Yeah, let's
cool,
do.
Man.
We'll do this again. Especially if I'm not streaming, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes it real easy. I'm gonna try and be on tomorrow for the Mets Dodgers. Finally catch an NLDS game, or NLCS. Sorry.
Yeah. If I can hop in, it would be early for that one. So we can text.
I'll just shoot you the link and then jump in if you want. It'll notify me. Yeah, everybody's pretty thankful for the stream. We're just getting lucky. So if you guys are still here, 147 of you, go ahead, subscribe, hit the bell. That way you know when I do go live for that game. I'm probably going to start it after the third inning, because it seems to be the sweet spot where I don't get shut down. If I start at the very beginning, done. So
they get you.
Heads up. Just putting that out there. Appreciate you guys. Jim, thanks for joining me. Caught the tail end of it.
Yeah, man.
And wear a different color tomorrow.
I will wear. I'll throw some. If I'm here, I'll throw some red on. How about that? I've got a red hoodie hanging up over there. I can grab that.
Throw some orange.
Ooh, I don't have much orange. Even though I live in Birdland, I got Camden Yards 20 minutes away. I don't have a lot of orange. I have a lot of black with the orange like lettering and all that, but I don't have a lot of straight up orange.
It's wild that I was at Camden Yards 4 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if you come to Camden Yards, if you're coming east again, let me know.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Out in, I'm always in DC, so that's just for work. So.
All right.
Yeah, cool, man. All right.
Man.
Everybody, thank you again, and I will see you all tomorrow. Hopefully, we can keep this stream going.
There you go. Have a good night. Later.